Hello and welcome back to Learn 3D Computer Graphics in Blender course series. My name is Umar and I will be teaching you on this channel. This is chapter 2 of this series, and from here on things will become interesting and I will be uploading a lot of interesting tutorials and videos on this channel. The chapter 2 is about 3D modeling, and in the very first lesson of this chapter I will be teaching you how to do polygonal modeling of a drone. Now I have pasted all the reference images of this drone on the software called PureRef. I found the software on the internet a few days ago. What it does is it gives you an infinite canvas on which you can paste several different images as a reference of your subject, so you can study your subject properly. In my case, I have pasted several different, as you can see, I've pasted several different images of this drone from several different angles, so I know what is the shape of this drone and how it is put together. By the way, this is parrot mini drone called Rolling Spider. So moving back into the Blender, we also need a few reference images loaded in the viewport of this software, so that we will be modeling on top of that reference images and model this drone as close as we can to the original product. To do so, we have to press, keeping our cursor into the 3D viewport, and press N to bring the property region out, and going into the background image panel and check this checkbox, or click on this checkbox, open this panel up and click on the Add Image button. Now this will give you a widget on which you can open and control a image to use as a reference. So all we have to do is click on the open button and it will give you file browser editor to open up that directory on which you have saved your image or reference image, and we can choose thumbnail as a display mode for our file browsing editor. Now there are two different options to choose from these display mode. One is called the short list, the second is called the long list, and the third is called the thumbnail, which we already have chosen. Going down, and you can see we have two different concept art image of our mini drone, and in one of these images you can see two different views, the front one and the top one, for us to use as a reference image in our 3D software. So what I did, I went into a photo editing software called the GIMP, and I cut and pasted these two views on top of each other and aligned them by the center, and then I extracted them out into a different image. So we are going to open up this image to use as a reference, but as you can see, nothing much happened. This is because we are in perspective view and we are viewing from an odd angle. What we need to do is go into any of the front, back, top, bottom, left or right angle, because we can only view in all of these angles, or we can view from a camera. If we press 1 to go into the front, we can see this image is appearing. And if we can go into any of these views, whether it is front, it is back, it is left or right, top or bottom. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Top or bottom. Now we have to limit the axis only for the front, and we have to add another widget or another image into our viewport, and can go, I think can go back to this. From the recent panel, we can choose our recent directories, and then we can select this image back for the top view, and we can go into the axis and limit it for the top. Now first we need to align this front image to the center in a way that the top and the front view align as perfect as they can. So what we have to do is lift this up in y-axis till the bottom of this drone lands on this horizontal line, this red horizontal line, which is actually the origin plane of this 3D view, or this 3D space that we have in Blender. If you can see right here, this plane, it is right at the 0z axis, so we need to line it this way, and then we need to bring the x-axis almost in the center, not exactly in the center, because we want to align this with the top view of this reference image as well. We can align them as much as we can. We don't have to align them perfectly. I think this is pretty close, and we don't have to be as accurate. So our figure for the x-axis would be 0.44. And now to align it into the top view, we have to press 7 to go into the top view, and then bring it all the way into the center, and so move it into the y-axis, and then move it back in x-axis about like 4 point, adding the same number. Just try to align as much as you can in the y-axis. Let me just see. 1, 2, 3, and it's 1, 2, 3. A bit more in the 3x. Yeah, I think 1.8 works perfectly fine. It's perfectly as perfect as I can. I have put it in the center in y-axis. Now, from here on, we can add a... Okay, before going any further, let me just show you. I have already built this model right here. This is what we are going to recreate. Maybe not exactly same, because we might add a little more detail that is missing in this model. Otherwise, it is as close as I could make. I also had missed on the nuts So going back into the first layer, and let's just create a mesh and create a plane. Go into the edit mode of this and deselect one of the vertices and delete all of these vertices. Delete all of these vertices. Go back into the top view and put this vertex right in the center. To put this vertex right in the center of x-axis, we can go in here, click on this icon and choose increments, and this will be turned off. We have to turn this on. So what it does is it align the vertex edge or face exactly to the grid points or the grid scale. As it states, absolute grid alignment while translating based on the pivot center. So if we click on the move tool from x-axis of the move tool, we will align it exactly in the center. And then from here on, let's just deactivate the snap tool, and we can, let me see where our vertex is. Go into the front and lift it all the way up to this point, and then from here on we can just press E to extrude another vertex out of it and align to the reference image as much as we can. So we have to stay as close as we can to the reference image. We don't have to perfectly align our model or our model to the reference image. Not 100%, because we can't do that. We have to stay as close as we can, maybe 90% or 80% of our model. So going back to the front view and align our vertex in the front view as well to this reference image. Now, as you can see, there are some sort of problem. There are some problem in here. The top view of this concept art or of this reference image doesn't align 100% to the bottom or to the front view of this reference image. So we have to figure out a way to keep our model in between both these reference images. We don't have to match one and leave the other. We have to keep it in between both of these. Now from here, we can select both of these vertices, press A to deselect all of them, and then press A back to select both of these, and then press T to go into the operation region of the 3D viewport and go all the way down in the tools tab, go all the way down, and you under the mesh tool panel we will see this button called subdivide. Click this once and it will give you a subdivision of this edge, and align this vertex so that it aligns our reference image as well. Keep doing this. until you create or until you align your vertices and your edge to the reference image as close as you can, and then keep adding subdivision so that you keep on adding detail to your line as well. Let's just match this vertex to the front image more than the top. Reason for that is because in our front view we have more detail of this drone we can see as compared to the top, and the top also like the accuracy in the reference image of this model. So let's just stay more loyal to our front image or front reference image so that we will end up creating this model as close as we can to our reference images. Now we can select all of these. I've pressed A to deselect all of them and then press A back to select all these vertices, and then I'm gonna press E to extrude them out and then press Z for the Z axis. Now press Z again so we can see the wireframe mode. And by the way, I went into the file, into the user preferences, and I went into the theme and went all the way down here where it says face, and I've selected these and then turned the transparency all the way to 0, or the alpha all the way to 0, and save it so that while being in the edit mode of a object we can see through the face, or we can see through the faces. Otherwise it will appear like this. See that what I meant by that. Now align these three vertices to each other because when this line meets here, they are all in one line, and I am guessing this vertex meets this vertex come or belong here, this vertex belong here, and we have to keep checking in all our reference images or all our views back and forth so that we are perfectly creating a perfectly accurate model. If you just forget it and just keep creating or changing the vertex or the shape of your object, then it will mess up in the other views. So you have to keep going back and forth between different views to create a model. And I will see you in the next video creating the rest of the drone.